Elon won't call people by their real name, so I'm not going to call it X because that's not what it
I
is to
refuse
me.
to. You and
Yeah,
me both. I'm gonna call
it's
that
Twitter.
Twitter, just
Yeah,
like I call
Twitter.
Diddy
The,
Puffy. That dude is Puffy, and the
the
Gulf
whale
of
bill.
Mexico is the Gulf of Mexico. God made the
Yes,
Gulf of Mexico, not no Gulf of America. It's the Gulf of Mexico. Continue.
exactly.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Read This, Read That. I am Jackie Reed.
And I am Anne Reed.
The joy is still not back.
Still not back.
I'm so glad you said that because, girl, I have been, since inauguration, it is like somebody has put a bowl of popcorn, not a bowl, a pot of popcorn, a hot oil on the stove, if you will, and just every poop, pop, 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 pop. That is how I have felt about the Trump administration and just the news cycle of it's just constantly something nonstop. For me, I can turn it off. And so I have not been watching a lot of it or trying to dig into it because it is just too stressful for me. But girl, you have no choice. How are you managing all of this? Like
Champagne. Champagne. I mean, alcohol. I mean, it's crazy because the thing is, when you get used to one horrible thing they're doing, then they do another horrible thing, and they're trying. And I knew this was going to happen because their goal is to do like sort of shock and awe, and really throw a lot at the American people right away, so that people really can't adjust, and that you're so destabilized that you just are sort of off balance. So they're doing what I think Project 2025 explicitly said they were going to do. I mean, the Project 2025 really outlined how they were going to really be aggressive in the first 100 days. And just to be fair, every president tries to go big in the first 100 days because you pretty much have 100 days to get your legislative agenda through. And if you don't act aggressively in that first 100 days, you may not get your agenda through at all. Remember President Obama, when he first came in, was so stymied because the Republicans said they were going to try to destroy his presidency in 2009. So they wanted to come right out of the box with healthcare. And they had to fight like a junkyard dog to get that through. And they didn't get it through until Al Franken won that contested seat, and they had 60 votes. Once they got those 60 votes, they jammed that sucker through. And then he had to do everything else by executive orders. DACA is an executive order, right? So because they were like, we're going to shut you down. And that's really what the opposition party will do, is try to shut you down. Now, Trump, because he has all three branches of government, his, the Supreme Court majority are all MAGA. The House, the Senate are all Republican controlled. He can kind of get a lot. He can get a lot done, and he can do a lot. So he's trying to like show his base that he's keeping his promises. So, buckle up, hold on, hang on to your butts, like Samuel L. Jackson said, because it's only going to get wilder before it gets better.
Well, with Obama and, even with Biden and them pushing to get things, passed and move in those first 100 days, it was like, oh, this is happening. That's interesting. Yeah. This policy is going through. That's it. But this is just gloom and doom. It's just one negative thing after the other. It's like, we are actually going back, with the things that they're doing. And I know, like I said, for me, girl, I try to watch as much as I can. Like I watch you, and I do watch Rachel a little bit because, she's just here for the first 100 days. But girl, I just can't do it. And I just don't know how you keep your sanity. I mean, because I know for you and for your job, that it's not just that hour that you're on television. It is literally from the moment you wake up. You're reading things, you're talking to people, you're talking to sources, your job is a nonstop. Really, when you're awake, you're working for the most part. I mean, you do have pockets of time where you're like, okay, I'm going to veg out and watch The Good Fight or something like that.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, how do you process all this? Because it's just so heavy.
It's a lot. And the thing is, on top of it, because there's so many historical kind of, parallels to what's happening, I'm also having to go deep dive. I mean, like who knew we'd have to study William McKinley? to really understand a modern president, or Grover Cleveland, the only other president who served non-consecutive terms. But, we finally, the one good thing is we did find out when America was great, according to Donald Trump. Remember, he's Make America Great Again. He meant basically the McKinley era, the late 19th century and early 20th century, the age of imperialism. So apparently that's where we're at, because, he claims he wants to take over Canada and Greenland and Panama Canal. So it's we're finding out that what he meant by Make America Great Again is he meant the McKinley era. Now, the downside of the McKinley era is there were two major recessions, and it didn't work so well for McKinley personally. He did not end his term by retiring. So I'm not sure the McKinley era is something we really want to be nostalgic for, but apparently Trump is. So good to know.
Yeah. My hope was with all these negative things, in my opinion, that he had. No, I'm not even going to say in my opinion. They're negative things. All the negative things that he has, pushed forth and been pushing. I feel like I'm waiting for these moments for the MAGA people, the people that voted for him, to be like, oh, I regret this. But it just seems like they're emboldened by it. It just seems like they just get more excited. Even though there's nothing that's happening to really bolster their lives. There's no drop in the price of eggs or gas or bread or anything like that. There's, all these policies that have nothing to do with middle class and, and poor people.
Yeah. I mean, but you're triggered. So, I mean, they feel good. As long as liberals are triggered and liberals are sad, I think that is the point. And that is what the election was about. But, one thing I will know, and I think this is something people really have to have some perspective on, Trump, only 31% of people voted for him. 30% voted for Kamala Harris. 33% didn't vote at all. So more people didn't vote at all than voted for either of them. And he won by 1.5% of the popular vote. And it was a very narrow election. We're talking about less than 200,000 votes out of, 120, 130 million votes. So it's not like he won this landslide election. If you looked at his inaugural, the tiny size of it, the fact that they had to move it indoors.
And that's why they did, because they weren't going to have a crowd.
Yeah, because, he had a rally the day before on the 18th. 2 days before, to try to bring people to DC. But even that, that wasn't a massive rally. It didn't attract millions and millions of people. And when you saw the motorcade going down the street that morning, it was cold, but it was sparse. There weren't a lot of people gathered at all, protesters or really supporters. And I will note that the night that Jimmy Carter lay in state, myself and my anchor producer, we went down to where he was to try to go and see Carter. When I tell you, it was lines that stretched for blocks and blocks, and it was 9 degrees outside. It was colder on the night of that than it was on Inauguration Day, and people came thick. I have never seen crowd lines that long, other than when Obama was inaugurated. It was thick. So I think there was some concern on Trump's part that it was going to be sparse, and also he didn't want the billionaires he had invited to be cold. So they decided to go in the rotunda, which was creepy because it was the same space that had been invaded by his insurrectionist mob. So now you saw that same space, but instead of people smearing feces on the wall, they were like in suits and ties. So it all of it is so surreal. And then they had this weird sort of indoor, the parade was like indoors. It was like a 20,000 seat stadium. So they were just kind of marching around in circles. It was very odd. Like, all of it's very surreal. But the way that I kind of just process it is, people have lived through autocratic systems before. It's not like this has never happened before. It's just never happened here. And I think Americans are just not used to kind of autocratic and, but we should have been, because America was born as an oligarchy. It was an oligarchy when the planter class ran it, and Black people didn't have rights, and women were also property. Like, we've only not been an oligarchy for maybe like 80, 90 years. For the rest of the history of the country, it's been an oligarchy. It's just going back to the way it started. And people have fought their way through it before. So we are not less strong than the people who fought their way out of much worse eras in American history. So you kind of have to have some perspective that our elders fought through worse, and they were also in an autocracy, and they were also in an oligarchy. If you live in the South, you still basically live in an oligarchy. Most of these Southern states are oligarchic and already had Project 2025. Georgia's not Project 2025. Florida, Texas. It's not like Black people have like rights are wrapping around the block. Right? Black people's rights are under fire in every red state. And so it's like, this is like just nationally what everyone in Mississippi been living with, and what people in Louisiana been living with, what people in your state of Georgia are already living with to a degree, you know? So it's like, we just have to get used to not getting used to it, and in surviving and figuring out ways to survive and thrive in bad situations. You know, we've always had to.
Yeah, that's why more of us need to move back to the South, like Charles Blow suggests, and just, turn these red states blue and take some control of our voting power. Okay, so I know you're in the office, and I have to say, even though there's a lot going on, your skin looks amazing. It looks like you're getting good rest and that you're eating well, fingers crossed.
Oh, and I had a great facial the other day. So I did take, I'm doing a little more self-care. I'm getting better. But our good friend, Erica Alexander, her belated birthday gift to me was a great facial with her person that does her facials in New York, Nikema. And when I tell you, this sister changed my whole life. Like she redid my face basically. And it was amazing. Good. Oh, and look, this is no makeup. Like she beat my face without putting a drop of makeup on it. And it was the best facial I've ever had. It was fabulous. I'm going to definitely send you can we make a Groupon? I got to get you in there.
Not a Groupon.
My friends, look, everybody, the next gift you all get from me is a facial with Nikema. That's it. Don't ask what you're getting. That's what you're getting. It was so good. So next time you're in New York, you must go on that table and get that facial, sis. Because a facial actually is it is therapy.
It is absolutely therapy. I go to Mamie McDonald in New Jersey. I've been going to her for years, but now that I'm in Atlanta, I haven't been able to find anybody down here. But Mamie is the truth. She does Iman, Angela Bassett. She does Jay-Z. She does like Kerry Washington when she's in New York. The list goes on and on of the faces that she carefully takes care of. And she just, I love going to her place because she has all these animals. She has parrots and dogs and all the things running around. So it's such a great experience. But yes, a facial is definitely self-care. Because you're in your office right now with that beautiful blue paint, which I need the color because I need a blue. I know you don't have a cocktail, but I saw you drinking something.
Vitamin water. Vitamin water.
Oh, vitamin water. Well, cheers. I have a non-alcoholic sparkling rosé, and I got this stuff called All the Bitter, which is it's like an orange bitter for mixing cocktails. So this is a delicious mixture that I'm having right now. That's so good. So let's talk about some topics because I know your time is tight. We were just talking about Trump and all the changes. One of the things that he jumped on right away is eliminating DEI everywhere that he can, particularly in the federal government. And a lot of companies are following suit and doing the same thing, getting rid of their DEI programs. And I know you had Al Sharpton on your show recently to talk about that. And so we want to hear a little bit of that interview, and then let's talk a little bit about it on the other side. Cue tape, roll it.
Dr. King called an economic boycott, as Martin III just talked about, and hit him in the pocketbook. And what we said today is that these companies that are now saying they're going to back up off of diversity and equity and inclusion should therefore not have a diverse consumer base. You don't want diversity, then we should not buy your products. And we're going to name which company. We're going to take 90 days, work with other groups, and come up with 2 or 3 companies that we're going to make the example of Dr. King. Is withdraw dollars. Donald Trump can't make us spend money with companies that will not deal and commit and continue with diversity.
So you have Rev Sharpton on, and I love this. I love that he's organizing some kind of a boycott. I think it's long overdue for Black people to organize in this way. What are your thoughts on what he had to say and moving forward, us boycotting as a community?
Yeah, and I think it's just logical, right? If you're as a company, a Walmart or, these companies that are all saying they don't want DEI and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, if you don't want diverse staff, why should we give you our dollars, right? Consumers actually have a lot more power than they think. And this is something that Dr. King was talking about before he died, is the idea of don't shop. And this is what Medgar Evers talked about. Don't shop where they won't hire you. Don't give your dollars to a company that isn't willing to make you an employee or treat you with respect. So I've seen people doing it sort of individually on their own. If you go on, Instagram, people individually call out a Walmart or, any other companies when they drop their DEI. People call them out and they say,
Right.
"Oh, okay, you're dropping DEI. Goodbye." Coca-Cola, I believe, just did it. Oh no, they actually gave a special like Coca-Cola can to Trump, and people are like, "Okay, bye to you." And you're seeing that idea of canceling your consumer support for companies that don't support you, I think that's just logic, right? And so the
Yeah.
next step in doing something like that, and this really is the key question, is can we as a people organize to the extent where we stick to a boycott? Now, people did it when it came to Gaza. You saw people eliminate Starbucks and McDonald's from their diets because Starbucks and McDonald's and other companies that support the Israel in terms of its occupation of the West Bank, those companies who supported that, or who's, in McDonald's case, supported the IDF, the Israeli military, by giving them free food, people were very strict on their boycott of those companies. So people can do it when they want to. The question is the next step is to do the organizing that's necessary to get all of the groups and people who are influential in the Black community to organize together to do that. And also to say, is this just a Black thing, or is this a beyond Black thing? Which Bishop William Barber says is, do you need to say this is only Black people, or do you say that, people who all believe in DEI who may not be Black, or that takes even more organizing? So that's the next step. It's a great idea. I actually really support the idea. The question is, can you organize and make it happen?
Yeah. And it's just a matter of, people, Black people specifically. I do agree with you that other people should join in because, forget putting a Black square on Instagram, put your money where your mouth is and support us in different ways by joining us for things like this. But we also have to get out of our comfort zone. I mean, I think, one of the things that happened with integration is that we wanted that proximity to whiteness, right? We left this, cities for suburbs and things like that. And that took a lot of, valuable assets out of our communities, not just the Black dollar turning over in our community, but doctors and lawyers and teachers and things like that left. Right. And so for us to come together, we're so disjointed and all over the place. It really is challenging for us to do that. So I hope that we can find a way to be unified. So I'm glad, but we need leadership with it. Like you said, you see different people do it. And it's not our faults, really. It's just the way things were set up for us, post-slavery and Jim Crow and just how they divided us as a people. But it would be nice to see us come together and boycott because our dollars mean something. Powerful. I mean, the Black spending power is incredible, particularly Black women.
Yes.
Right? If we band together and said, we don't care if you have this Birkin lookalike bag that everybody's talking about on social media. I don't need that. Nor do I need the regular Birkin. I mean, we need to start really putting our money back in our community. But girl, let me tell you, I'm a Home Goods, TJ Maxx, Marshall's girl.
I love
those companies,
and
I don't know.
Costco is a big supporter.
Well, Costco is a good one. Costco is a good one, but TJ Maxx and Marshalls and Home Goods all donated to Trump. And so not only am I staying, I know, not only am I staying away from companies, girl, home good. This is what I'm saying, right? This, I know, you're like, oh my God.
Well, there goes the budget. I guess I'm going to get some money back.
Girl,
I can save
telling
money.
you. It is, and Amazon. I mean, girl, we all live for Amazon.
Lowe's, Home Depot's they're big Republicans.
Home Depot, Lowe's as well, and Ace Hardware. Where are we gonna get hammers from? Where are we getting nails? But there are a lot of mom and pops. It's like you really have to step outside of your comfort zone and find smaller businesses. Yeah,
we can't even keep our Gen X rappers from shaking their asses for Trump. So right now we're not doing well on organizing. We can't even keep our rappers in line. They all out there shaking their behinds for Trump and self DJing and stuff for him. So God help us.
Girl,
good luck to us. Good luck,
I will never forgive Snoop. Moving on, let's talk about, speaking of rappers, let's talk about the rapper Sexy Red and her short-lived beef with our Black American royalty, Bernice King. So I think we have a picture of this. So Sexy Red, you can see the picture on your left bottom. there was something that she saw that somebody else created of her with Dr. King. It's AI generated, obviously.
Mhm.
And so she posted it and she thought it was cute. Bernice King did not think it was cute at all.
Mhm.
And really, I think she did it very
You
tastefully.
read her lovingly.
She read her very lovingly, but what and I love that she did that. I love that she
Yes.
just didn't let it go, because I don't think anyone should be doing anything
And
like
she never lets it go, by the way. She be rebuking these
Ooh,
Republicans who want to
girl.
quote content of their character, the color of skin. She says, you didn't know my father. You wouldn't have supported. She be correcting and checking people left and right.
Oh
It's
yeah,
what she does. Yes.
she don't play. And I love that she has the face of Daddy King while she's doing it. But then Sexy Red, to her credit, apologized. She was like, you know what, you're right, sis, my bad, and took it down. But like Bernice said, even though she took it down, it's still out there. But I do love that there was this multi-generational situation that could have gone left, right?
Yes.
I love that Bernice called her out on it and had the grace to accept her apology. But I love that Sexy
Absolutely.
Red was like,
She
you know
owned it.
what, my bad.
You know,
She owned it.
Sexy Red's evolution from being, I mean, I still object to the idea of calling your song Booty Hole Brown. I'm gonna leave that to where it is, but I don't think young girls should be singing Booty Hole. I have a problem with it, but I like the fact that you've seen her grow up just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
She started off there. She did this whole podcast interview where she's like, we need Trump back because we need the stimmy. Then she sort of flipped toward the end and was like, nah, I was uninformed. I'm down with Kamala. And she's kind of slowly but surely kind of maturing. And I think it's actually, a good thing. I think that, when we can find a way to have a little bit more grace when people maybe just don't know,
Yeah.
I think I'm working on myself. God is still working on me with that too. I don't want no more rap beef. I already got in one rap beef before, and I don't want to get.
I remember that.
I'm going to get in more rap beef. I'm going to try to have a little more grace toward our rap friends, unless you perform for Trump, in which case.
Then we're done.
I got nothing for you.
Never.
Or endorse him or put a red, MAGA hat on. I'm like, you know what? You've chosen sides. I can't.
I know. And Ashanti is catching strays from that girl. Somebody who was running one of her fan accounts dropped the account, deleted it. It was like, I'm not even, she catching strays from her man being out there. But it is what it is. But let me just say this, because you and Michael Harriet and all of you all that are really in this, as far as, putting out information to the fans and keeping us informed with what's going on politically. I think that there should be some kind of program that you all do with this project that you have going on that he started, where kind of like how NFL players will meet with financial advisors and things like that during their rookie year. I feel like there should be something from the entertainment industry where they meet with people like the people in you all's group and just kind of get a little bit of tutoring so they can have some accurate
you can know some things about that. I had a conversation with a friend of mine that's sort of in the hip hop world about that you've got people that are in the hip hop world who they mean well and they have strong opinions and beliefs. Yeah. And there's a way to sort of redirect them. People have told me that about Kyrie Irving. I think he still thinks the earth is flat. We're going to work on that. But I mean, the reality is like, there should be some sort of meeting of the minds. I think people who are sort of in like the black sort of intellectual class kind of don't be a snob about it. Like there are people who really mean well and want to serve the community and they have a big platform. And so we got to figure out a way to communicate across that divide and say, how can we share information so that your platform is giving out information that's factual? That's all we ask, is be factual. Yeah.
I think so. I think that's really important. Right. If you see Janet Jackson, pull her to the side.
Just take her aside.
Take it to the side. Talk to her. She seems like she wants to know. And Oscar nominations are out.
Yes.
And
Wicked.
I know they delayed it a bit because of the LA fires, but Emilia Perez led the way with 13 nominations. That's a record for a non-English language film. I still got it. So many Oscar movies out, but I wait for the nominations to see everybody. Wicked and The Brutalist were next in line, tying with 10 nominations each, both for Cynthia Erivo for Best Actress. Ariana Grande got Best Supporting. Coleman Domingo got Best Actor for Sing Sing. And that movie, I want to say screenplay. I don't have the whole list in front of me, but Best Screenplay. And by the
way, Coleman Domingo is going to have to go against the Hollywood's favorite Timothy Chalamet who they're up against each other for Best Actor, and there's some people who are ready to hit these streets if Coleman Domingo doesn't win for Sing Sing. So that's going to be the big drama in terms of Best Actor.
Yeah, Timothy is for the Bob Dylan movie, right?
For
Or
Bob
is it
Dylan,
Dune
he played
too?
Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
so he has an advantage because he played Bob Dylan. But apparently, Sing Sing is so good, and Coleman Domingo is so good at it that people are literally ready to hit these streets if he doesn't win. So we'll see.
Well, and it's one of those movies that's an independent. It's a small movie with a lot of heart. I mean, his main co-star, is someone who actually walked the walk in what this story is about. He was in that prison, was part of the theatrical program that they highlight, and now he's elevated to being an actor. Getting his training in prison in this program, to being a co-star to Coleman Domingo and being friends. Yeah. He said that he was at some award show this season, and Cheryl Lee Ralph, our soror, walked up to him because he said he was just looking around. He was like, "There's this person and that person." He said his mouth was open, and she walked up to him and said, "Close your mouth." And took him around and introduced him to people. Forgive me for not knowing his name, but yeah, I'm still kind of like, I wish that there were more movies. The Nickel Boys is another movie that's from a Black director, starring Black people, talking about abuse and things like that. Wow, that time goes fast. It goes fast, but I'm still kind of like, I wish there was more opportunity for us. But speaking of awards, I want to just remind everybody, and I hope time has not run out. If you go to our Instagram page, Read This, Read That, you can vote for our own Joyanne, who has been nominated for 2 NAACP awards. Three. Go and vote. The link is right there. So please go to our Instagram, Read This, Read That. When's the deadline? Do you know to vote?
I believe you can vote through February 6th. I want to say it is. So keep voting through the first week of February, but the more votes, the better. Yes, we're nominated for Read This, Read That. Read This, Read That. I wish we were nominated for Read This, Read That. We need to.
I know. Next time.
We're nominated for the Readout. I'm nominated for Best On-Air Host. And I'm nominated, this is the one that really means a lot to me, for Megger and Murley, which, our soror, Miss Murley Evers-Williams, just means everything to me. So that's the one that really, I'm just like, my heart.
Okay. Well, congratulations on the nominations. It's great to be nominated, but it's good to win. So get out there and vote.
I had to win. Right. And then I can be Joy Ann Reid again. And Joy will be back. How about that?
Joy will be back. Joy will be back. What are you wearing? Have you thought about? Because are you going to go?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're definitely going. And so I had a dress that I had actually gotten for the Emmys. But it turned out there was no red carpet. So I ended up not wearing it to the Emmys. So I believe I'm going to bring this dress out. This dress is fabulous. I'm going to probably preview it for you guys on IG. I think I'm going to go back and get that dress. And it's by a fabulous Black designer. And I think it's a keeper. It's a good one. I think I'm going to do that. But, I always try to wear a great Black designer.
Yeah, you do.
I did Sukaina the last time we were nominated and went to the NAACP Image Awards. I love Sukaina. I love Omar. Mm-hmm. But this is also a Black designer. So we'll let you know. Stay tuned.
I love it. I'm excited. Okay. Last but not least, I don't know if you've probably heard about this, knowing you, but let me let the listeners know, or our viewers. Yale University is offering a new course this semester. And it's examining whether Black women and white women can really be friends. This is an actual college course, which is really interesting to me. On the website, it says, in this course, we're interested in exploring if relationships between Black women and white women can develop an equal footing. Can those relationships be unfettered by the trappings of quid pro quo transactions? Can they be built upon hard emotional labor, trust, and risky and rare as it may seem, love? Are these relationships even possible? Might we explore the deficits that make these relationships difficult? We seek to integrate with brutal honesty the stakes that underwrite Black women's relationship with white women. Do you think Black women and white? What do you think about that?
I would be interested in knowing who's taking this class. You know what I'm saying? Like when you do a class like this, because I can't imagine it'll be equal numbers of Black women and white women. And taking the class, will it challenge? You know what I mean? Because in college, things are very fraught in terms of the relationships you have, the roommate situations you get thrown in with people who are different races. And so in a college setting, it's probably very difficult to bridge those divides depending on what the college is like. So I wonder if this class, I just wonder how honest and brutally honest the class will be. Who's teaching it, right?
Mm.
And who's taking it? That would be my question, because I think the overall question is interesting, but I don't know if you can do it in a course, if you know what I'm saying. Because the
Yeah.
course itself could skew how that question gets answered, right?
Yeah. And if you're dealing with someplace like a Yale University, I would guess, I don't know for certain, that the majority in the class are going to be white women, right? Or white
Well,
people and so the black people that are in there, because I'm sure it's open to men and women, the black people
yeah,
are in there are the ones that have to do the over explaining and explain that, like,
right,
the burden to me will be on the black students in there, depending on who the teacher is also.
right,
And then
right,
there's the white guilt that people want to tiptoe around and don't want to get into,
right.
and you don't want to hurt
I don't
feelings.
know how you
And
do it. Having taught at the college level, I don't know how you can do a class like this. I just
Mhm.
honestly don't, especially at a predominantly white institution. I don't know how you could do a class like this in an honest way. If the teacher is black, there's going to be a lot of pressure. And remember, these Ivy League schools are under tremendous scrutiny by
Yeah.
people who hate DEI and who honestly are not thrilled that there are black women there at all. And can you imagine the pressure if it's a black professor on the way that this professor presents this question? And
Come
if they
on.
don't come out in a way that is generous toward the white women students, think of all of the repercussions, especially if this professor is not tenured. Like, to me, this is a relatively dangerous topic in this Trumpy era, because
Yeah.
these schools are under so much pressure. They can barely teach about slavery without getting sued by Stephen Miller. How
Yeah.
do you teach a class like this and stay out of court? So before you even get to the answer to the question, I would wonder who teaching this, who taking it, and do they have a good lawyer?
And what's the syllabus? Because I
And
want to
what's
see
the
how they
syllabus?
break
What are
this
they reading?
down.
Are they reading banned books? Are the books even legal to read? Oh, I mean, it's Connecticut, so at least the books will be legal.
Yeah.
But baby, this course is a recipe for an attack by MAGA. And
It's a
I'm just,
powder keg.
it's like a trap. It sounds like
Yeah,
a trap.
it's a trap. I gotta know now. I want to dig deeper. But remember that scene in American Fiction in the beginning when Jeffrey Wright's character was using the N-word in class, and the white
Yes.
student was so offended by it, and he got in
Listen.
trouble because he did kick her out of the class. But
And
it's
remember
like, I
in
think
you
of
in
that.
our and in our favorite show, The Good Fight, remember when the black head of the law firm got in trouble because he used the N-word in a mixed race meeting, and then he got called up by the white firm that had bought out their firm and
Yes.
literally sanctioned for using the N-word in context, in quoting someone? It's a trap, y'all. Don't whoever that
You said
professor
don't
is,
take
get
it.
out. Run. It's a trap, honey. It's a trap. Don't do that class. Don't do it.
Hilarious.
Professor to
Well,
professor. Run.
don't do it. Don't do it, y'all. Yeah, we got to dig deeper into this, and we'll bring you more details on that. All right. Well, those are our topics. We got a great guest for you. Arlen Hamilton is coming up, and she's going to talk about how we need to move forward as Black women when it comes to social media, with all the craziness that has been going on with these platforms that we have loved so much and benefited from, a lot of us monetarily, but really giving us a voice to reach an audience. So she's going to come on and talk about that. I know you've been not only talking about it on your social media a lot, but on the readout. And I was like, we need to book somebody to talk about how Black women should handle all this and move forward, considering all that's going on. So let me tell you about our guest. So Arlen Hamilton, she is the founder and managing partner of Backstage Capital. Love her, a seed investment fund supporting underrepresented startup founders, including people of color, women, and LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs. Since 2015, Backstage has raised over, get this, $30 million to fund over 200 startups. She also was a celebrated author of It's About Damn Time. I want to say it like that. And Your First Million, sharing her journey from homelessness to becoming a venture capital trailblazer and offering valuable advice for launching $1 million ideas and businesses via her YouTube channel, which we're going to talk about a little bit. And you can find out all about her at arlensfirstmillion.com. Don't you love that?
Love that.
I love that. So let's bring to the stage the one and only Arlen. Hey, Arlen Hamilton, come on in.
Hello,
Hey, girl.
hello.
Hey.
Thank you for having me here.
And
Listen,
you'll
thank
make our
you for
first
being
million
here.
in small bills. Thank you.
I have it on the way shortly. Yes.
Thank you.
So, Arlen, let's get right to it. How have you been processing, given all that you do, because you're constantly through your platforms helping so many people, particularly women of color, kind of figure out this landscape of being entrepreneurs, particularly using social media, email marketing, YouTube, all the things.
Yes.
How have you been processing all the news with TikTok? What's been going on with Meta? It's just a lot of strange things going on. And all over social media, people are talking about not only leaving TikTok, but leaving Meta as well. And before we get into the conversation, I want to show you this clip that we pulled from this actress who has, hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. And she says she's leaving Meta. So if we can get that up, let's take a look at that and talk on the other side.
I recently deleted all Meta apps from my devices and outsourced my social media accounts to a social media manager, turning those platforms into storefronts rather than spaces for authentic connection. I want to tell you why and how I'm building something better and how you can too. For too long, platforms like Meta have thrived off rage bait and the creative energy of Black and brown creators while suppressing our voices, stealing our ideas, and profiting at our expense. These platforms are not safe spaces for marginalized identities, and I can no longer pour my energy into systems that don't value our contributions.
So, Arlen, how have you been processing all the things that have been in the news with TikTok, Meta, and so on?
I have been saying for years, no one is coming to save us. And you all know we can't trust these platforms as far as we can throw them. So keeping your email addresses, collecting those email addresses from your potential customers, having a different channel to turn to when things like this happen. I say that's really important, but I also say, as continue to use these platforms. Just have eyes wide open. Know what you're in for. Know what you're getting into, because your competitors are using these platforms. So you do need to be on the platforms. But yeah, it's just been very disappointing.
Ma'am, do you include X Twitter? Because so for me personally, I mean, X Twitter was where I had the most. I had 2 million followers on Twitter. It was my biggest sort of chunk of followers, and I have really I took years to build it up from 2009 on, and I exited it because I just have such deep objections to the direction that the current owner is taking it and the kind of content that's being forced on you to sort of violating your algorithm by forcing content on you that you don't want, some of which is far right. There's Nazi content on there. It was just not a place for me anymore. And when I exited, you can't take your followers with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sort of attractive things about Threads is that I had, whatever following you've built up on Instagram, you can actually take onto Threads. You can pull people over onto Threads. And then I've also had to start from scratch on TikTok and Blue Sky. So it's like there's this process, and I'm on Spill, but it's like you have to start from zero every time you get off a platform and start on others. Do you recommend even staying? What is your opinion on staying on Twitter and your X Twitter, and your opinion on whether or not it's wise to exit platforms and start over?
Well, Elon won't call people by their real name, so I'm not going to call it X, because that's not what it is.
I refuse to. You and me both. I'm gonna call that Twitter.
Yeah,
just like
Twitter.
Diddy Puffy. That dude is Puffy. And the Gulf of Mexico is the Gulf of Mexico. God made the Gulf of Mexico, not no Gulf of America. It's the Gulf of Mexico. Continue.
Well, we helped build it, right? And I will say I did laugh a little when you said it, because I'm going to contradict myself. I'm off of that. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I can't look at a Tesla. I just can't do it. He is too toxic and contradictory and all of that. I would say that my life has been better since I have been off of Twitter. It has been, my mind has more freedom. There's more space there. And I don't think about it every day. And I do think, the people who are on there, good for them. But, who do you want to talk to? That's at the end of the day, who do you want to hear from you? because yes, there are many of my followers are on there. I left them behind. I hope they come find me elsewhere. And again, it comes back to, do you have your email list? Do you have your memberships? That's why I talk about memberships so much, because you have your memberships, and that's that small, intimate group of people that you can talk to off of these platforms. I also like fan base. I'm loving what they're doing. As someone who has invested in more than 200 companies and seen thousands and thousands of companies, I really love the fact that they are raising from the crowd. I've done that myself in the past. We've raised from over 6,000 people. So I know that there's a lot of power in that democracy. And so I love that. And yeah, I think, Threads is Meta, and it's just like, we can't trust these platforms, but we can use them wisely while we can. Like, it's like, there are a lot of institutions that we don't trust, but we need to kind of play the game that everyone else is playing, and then know when to leave.
Yeah, there were a couple of that I read, and there may be more, of very successful, Lovey being one of them, content creators, and she does so many other things aside from her social media platforms, who were saying that they don't necessarily want to join fan base just because it's Black.
Oh, sure.
Lovey had that agreement of it. But the other woman who was saying it, and forgive me, I can't remember her name, who sings I don't know why the leopards would eat my face. She was going round and round with some of her followers, because they were criticizing her, because she said she is still not convinced that fan base is a place for her, and she doesn't feel the need to join just because it's Black owned.
Yes.
She said that they've had a lot of glitches and things like that. What's your take on, particularly for content creators who want to monetize? Can they do that like they have on Instagram on fan base? Can you switch over? Because I don't think people were making money on Twitter, right?
Right.
I might be mistaken.
You can, some people can, certain types of things. I would just say we contain multitudes, right? So different Black people are going to go to different places. I don't think we all have to go to one place just because it's Black. I don't believe that either. But I think that as it's viable, you watch it trending, and I don't know if you watch fan base trending, and it's going up there, and it's going to have glitches, because that's what startups do. That's the point. Their competitors have hundreds of millions of dollars. They have raised maybe 10 million, which is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, if Mark Zuckerberg had $10 million to work with, it would be a very bad day to him. So it's going to have glitches. You're going to have different people going. I don't think that anybody should be pressured to go anywhere. That's the sum of it. I don't think anybody should be told, oh, you're not Black enough because you're not on fan base. Right. But I love that it is an option, and you should do what you want to do. And just know that, everything is run by humans. So I always think about, if everything starts small. When it gets big, what is it going to be like? That's what I want the founders to think about. How do I want my company to be run when it's big, when I am succeeding? I can say all day, that this is how it should be done by the big guys while I'm small. But when I'm big, when I'm rich, how do I treat people? Yeah. And I think that's the most important part of it. And yes, I do think that fan base does have a monetization aspect to it. I don't know how it stacks up compared to anything else, but I've never made money off of Instagram directly. Instagram, Threads, all of these places should be, as Angelica said, should be your billboard, your storefront, the flashing lights. The real thing comes from what you own. And you essentially own your email list. You essentially own your website, to a degree. I think that driving that traffic is where it's all about.
YouTube too?
I'm sorry?
What about YouTube? Do you
feel
like
YouTube is my absolute favorite. My absolute favorite. In 2024, I gained 92,000 subscribers. I started with 4,000 subscribers that I built over 5 years on that particular channel, and I gained 92,000. There was a week in July where I gained 12,000 subscribers. These are people from around the world discovering me for the first time. They didn't know anything about the money I've raised or in the books I've written. They just found me because of the content, because of the way that it was packaged. And I think that, to me, it's exciting to see that anyone can start on YouTube and have a breakout moment. I used to be homeless and poor. And if I had known anything about YouTube, I would have used it. I would have tried to use that to get out of my current circumstances. And so to me, it is just this very viable, powerful place where you're creating assets every single day that stick around year after year. People are looking at these videos. You don't get that in other platforms. Now at the same time, you see the it's owned by Google, and you see the founders and the CEO of Google standing next to Trump. So it's,
I mean, they all are.
they all are, and it's very disappointing to see so many people. I was saying this earlier. They are so wimpy, and the bravest people I know are these small creators, are these people with very few followers, and some of them with large followers, but are saying the truth. Like you, Joy. Every night you say the truth. I don't know what it costs you, but you say it. And that's bravery, right? These guys who have millions or billions of dollars are so weak and so afraid. And it's sad. And I feel sad for them. I don't want their life. I wouldn't switch with them on any day. I wouldn't take a penny from them on any day. And so we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to create brilliant, beautiful lives for ourselves and not get caught up in all of their mess, because they're fighting each other. That's kind of fun to watch. They're fighting each other. Let them do that. And then we take ownership and autonomy of our futures. And we do that by building these, what I call mini empires, MINI empires. We build them for ourselves. What does it take? What do you need for your life to be magnificent? It's probably not $1 billion, and that's a good thing.
Well, let me ask you this, because, one of the things that I struggle with when people say, well, I don't want to get on platform X just because it's Black Twitter built Twitter. When the Black people left Twitter, not only technologically was it already starting to glitch a lot. Okay, let's just be clear. It's glitchy now because he fired all the engineers because he didn't want to pay Americans decent wages.
Correct.
But also, when Black Twitter started to decline and they moved to somewhere else, the cool factor of Twitter went with us. We build these platforms. TikTok, no one paid attention to it until Black creators started doing dances, and then white creators would copy them and become even more famous than the Black creators. Mm-hmm. Black people, we have trillions of dollars of equity that we tend to hand over to non-Black owned platforms. And so then when a platform like Fanbase comes along, or Spill comes along, or Spoutable, which is another sort of Twitter alternative, or Black Planet, which I don't even know what happened to poor Black Planet. I still have my little login for Black Planet. We say, well, I don't have to go on there just because they're Black. But you know what? We're willing to go on Blue Sky. We never heard of Blue Sky. We're willing to go on Threads, and we have objections to Mark Zuckerberg. So I feel like we need to have the same grace and the same interest in growing platforms, because they are owned by Black people, because Black people war is being made against the idea of Black inclusion, the idea of DEI, the idea of Black presence at places in the tech world and out at places like Harvard. I just feel like the Black presence, the right is at war with the Black presence.
100%.
I mean? I feel like
100%.
Part of me says I did sign up for Spill because they're Black. Because I'm
so I know the founders of Spill and Fanbase very well, and I'm rooting for both of them. What I feel is 100%. Like, we need to be pouring into those companies. That's why I've invested in 200 of them. Right. I love when we have options. I think that is what we are owed is options, not just one, not just because it's Black, but we have the options. So what I want to see is more people building, and I want them to build from the ground up. It's not easy, but I want them to do that. And I also want us to be able to say, I get to choose, because that's freedom. Right. And whether you choose Spill or Fanbase, or hopefully the next one is led by a Black woman, which Blue Sky is actually, the CEO is a Black woman, I believe. Right. So as that's built from the bottom up, I think we should support that. And I think if we're getting real, sometimes Black folk, some of us, not all of us, and some of the time, not all the time, but sometimes we're upset if it's not us. So it's like, I think there should be something that's Black XYZ, but I didn't build it. I'm not getting the money for it. So therefore. What is interesting about fan base, going back to it, and Isaac's going to love this because I love discussing this with him. But what's interesting about it is that it is this this democratic way of investing in it. So that's where it's a little bit different to me.
Yeah.
Because most companies, they have all these big VCs, venture capitalists, like the fund that I have, and it's 99% white men. And they're just the rich getting richer, no matter who started the company. In his case, in Fanbase's case, there is theoretically some upside to. There's some upside to it. I don't know if it's going to be, making millionaires, but there's some upside to it. You own a piece of it, like you would own a stock in a company. And I think that that's something special about that. That's why I love crowdfunding in general, crowd equity in general. And I just think what I would love to see is 10 of them, 10 options for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So what do you think about Substack?
So Substack, yeah, that's been around for a while. I tried it years ago. It's not really something that I pay too much attention to. I know a lot of people have made really good money from it and have like a really great following from it. I tend to like ConvertKit, which is now called Kit. I like their kind of version of that. I don't know. There's something I don't know what it is, but I have this memory and something's happening with this Substack. Like I knew something about their internal stuff, but I don't want to get too far into it because I can't remember what it is. But I remember there's a reason that I'm not on it.
Well, when you find out, text me so I can.
That sounds really silly.
Because I love Joy answered me on the Substack, and I
love Substack. I mean, because what I like about it is what you said earlier, which I think is really smart. The difference between Substack and Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, etc., is that when you get a subscriber on Substack, you own the list. It's your list. It belongs to you. Yes. And I think people are not engaged. I mean, Michael Harriot just launched what is now a very popular Substack called Contraband Camp. And they made that movie about Black Twitter and didn't include Michael Harriot. We were like, this is heresy. Because Michael Harriot in many ways is Black Twitter. Like he was such a king of Black Twitter. Oh my God. Right? And he wasn't even in the movie. But anyway, he would just say a thread, and then everyone would go and read this long thread, right? He's now taken that energy off Twitter and put it into a Substack. And now, rather than give free content to Elon and them, which he didn't get paid for, it was just, and I used to do it too, long threads, giving all this free content that's just benefiting him and benefiting previously Jack. Now, when he does a thread, it's on his Substack, and to read it, you have to subscribe. Yes. So it creates a different relationship with your audience in that you also can communicate directly to them because it's an email list newsletter. Yes. And a friend of mine, Yashar Ali, years ago was telling me, you've got to get a newsletter. Newsletters are so important because it is that direct contact model. And I think what Michael Harriot is doing with that, and you've seen a lot of New York Times and Telnace who left the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos' Washington Post, because they nixed her cartoon. She now has a Substack. So if you want Telnace's content, you just subscribe to it. I just think that's such a smart model.
Well, Arlen, if you're building from scratch, like you said, what are your thoughts on going the Substack route or having your own website, having a newsletter that's independent of that? What are your thoughts on that?
I'll tell you my winning combination that I would tell people to do is I love the idea of Substack, right? My winning combination is YouTube as a traffic source and driver. And this is a new one here, Skool with a K, SKOOL.com. Now, Skool is a membership platform. So if you go to Skool, you will see a lot of, mostly people call it brolicious, and it's a lot of young men, a lot of it. But if you dive a little bit deeper, it's more than that. And I am on Skool, and I have made $400,000 in 5 months on Skool. And it has made it possible for me to do a surgery for my mom, do some extra things that it's just given me a lot of autonomy. And here's
Let me write this down here. SK.
Okay.
A notebook. Let me
Yes, but listen, so I teach this. I have my own school. So if you go to arlensallaccess.com, I teach you about school, and then you can join my membership to learn how to use it. And we have more than 450 people in there right now learning, mostly Black women learning. And this is what I did to go a little bit further, because when I got on there, I won. They have a school games. I won their school games by being one of the highest, ranking people. So I went to Vegas and I met with them and Alex Hormozy, who's this kind of famous marketing guy now. And I looked around the room and it was young boys. And I was the oldest person there. I'm 44. I was the oldest person in the room, including the owner. And I went up to the owner, Sam, and I said, Sam, where are the women? Where are the Black people? And he said, I agree with you. What do you think we should do? And to his credit, we sat for 2 hours on a call right after that and talked about it. And I have not said this anywhere else, I'm going to tell you for the first time, I led a syndicate to invest in school. I am the only Black person who has invested in school so far. And they get invites from multiple venture capital firms across the world because they have 1 million new users every month. So they get people begging to invest in them. They allowed me to invest with my syndicate. And my goal now, because I brought a good friend over, they brought 1,000 of their good friends to it. My goal now is just to say, you can have one topic, one niche, one interest, one skill, and you can build a thriving 5 or 6 figure business around it, 1 person or 2 person business around it with a small community where every day I wake up excited to talk to my members, to teach, to learn. We have a classroom, we have a live sessions, we have community breakouts, and it's just people paying a little bit per month. And there's sometimes you can do this and have a free community, and there's a whole kind of strategy to do that. But that's what I teach people is how do you make an extra $100,000 in 12 months? Because I believe, like my shirt says 1,000 new millionaires. 1,000 new millionaires. I believe that we have to save ourselves. We have to be financially free and stable. And I was broke and I was homeless at 34, 35. I slept in the San Francisco airport and, multiple other ways, but that's the last. And then I launched my venture fund and spent the last decade just saying let's have innovation. Let's create, let's own. Dr. Pamela Jolly says that millionaires, rich people own things and collaborate, right? That's what we need is more ownership. So I do think we don't have to have these billion-dollar companies to have ownership. We need to pour into each other. We need to back each other, become consumers of our brands. But I also think that you can have this small slice of the world that you make it your own and have a thriving community.
Well, Arlen, I know you are tight on time or we would keep you here longer, but you have to come back because, oh my goodness, I love learning from people. And I love, you just came and dropped all kinds of knowledge. Let me let people know that you can catch Arlen and learn more about her and how to start a business or level up and scale your current business on Arlen's YouTube channel. And is the YouTube Arlen's First
Million? Mm-hmm.
Arlen's First Million. And you can get to that by going to arlensfirstmillion.com or go to YouTube. But then over on school, it's Arlen's All Access.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you go to arlensfirstmillion.com, watch some of those free video trainings, it'll send you over to school and it'll teach you how to use it first.
Awesome. Okay. Arlen Hamilton, thank you. We hope to have you back in the very near future, but appreciate you giving us some direction and guidance with this.
Anytime.
Stuff.
I'd love
Welcome to cousinhood.
Yes, you are officially a play cousin.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Wow.
Thank you. Wow. I know, right?
She's amazing. To go from homelessness to, a multi-million-dollar tech investor, that's incredible.
I know, absolutely. And she is. I mean, the more you learn about her, the more every time I watch a video from her or something, I learn something every time. I love her. Follow her, everywhere, social media, YouTube, and all the things. All right. Well, that does it for this episode of Read This, Read That. Joyanne Reed, are you putting the joy back? Is joy back in your life?
We're gonna ruminate on that. I'm still meditating on it. It's
so
just
many
Anne Reed for now.
So many people in our comments from our last show watched that Saturday Night Live episode, and they are just like all in the comments. People are celebrating you and saying congratulations.
Love her so much. That was amazing. Like made my January. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, we're working on getting Ego on the podcast. So soon come. All right. Well, be sure everybody to tune in to the readout. I know a lot of you all are unplugging from news in the world, but we want to support our sister cousin, Joyanne Reed over on MSNBC every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. over on the readout. You definitely want to watch. Hey, turn it on for that. And then you can turn it off if you want to. That's what I do.
Just watch from 7 to 8.
Listen, we got to support our people. Our people.
Prime time, we still doing the right thing. Okay, from Nicole Wallace on, we still talking our talk. Y'all. Don't get it twisted. We're still talking. On MSNBC, we're still talking our talk on our channel.
It's good, and I love that Rachel is back every night for the first 100 days. I love that. So good stuff.
Absolutely. So yes, give us a chance. Give us a chance, everyone.
Give peace a chance.
Give peace a chance. And please make sure that you follow vegansexycool.com because you don't want to just be vegan. You want to be also sexy and also cool. Because why not be all three? Vegansexycool.com. You can also follow Vegan Sexy Cool on Instagram. Follow all of the great Jackie Reed things. And be sure to hit like on this, subscribe. Make sure that you tell a friend, tell a foe so they can hate watch. Why not? And make sure
block them.
Do all the things. We love it. And so make sure you follow all of our stuff. Follow us also on all of our many platforms, including Instagram, YouTube, and I believe our Substack as well.
Substack and Blue Sky. We're both on Blue Sky. So follow us there. All right, you guys. Until next time. Bye.
Goodbye.